Okay, let's do a quick background on absolute value. Go a little bit further so that we'll be ready to really hit the ground running in class today. You guys know that if I asked you the absolute value of negative 16, 16, no problem. If I asked you the absolute value of positive 13, 13, no problem. And so on. I can give you plenty of examples, and you're going to tell me, well, just take out the negative, it becomes positive. No problem. So absolute value becomes positive. But what's really going on? Well, is that just what absolute value is? Take away the negative and have a nice day? Or is there really a connection to something else that we work with that's always positive? What happens, what is it if we get a value of negative and we say, oh, you can't have a negative value in that, right? What are those times? Measurement, distance. There's got to be a connection here. Whenever we get a value of negative and it's a distance, we say, oh, that can't be, that doesn't make sense, it has to be positive. We don't just turn it into a positive number. So the connection here is that absolute value is a distance. It's a measurement. So if I ask you what's the absolute value of negative 16, what am I really saying? What's its distance? What's the distance to 0? Distance to 0. So what's the distance from negative 16 to 0? 16. 16 away. That's really what's going on with absolute value. So now if I ask you, the absolute value of x is 16, what am I really asking you? What number is 16 away from 0? What number is 16 away from, well, what numbers are 16 away from 0? Either you could go on one side and you get to positive 16, or the other side and you get to negative 16. So this has two answers. Right? We've seen problems where there's two possible answers, and here's another one. X can be positive 16 or negative 16. Now let's test it out. What's the absolute value of 16? Good. It works. What if I put in negative 16? Does it still work? Also works. Okay? This is what's really going on behind absolute value. And we're going to throw in this algebra to really make it come together. Now, the one question that I want to ask you as a takeaway, and for you to think about before class today, what if I ask you the absolute value, not of x, but of x minus 2? And I tell you the absolute value of x minus 2 equals 8. Now there's two ways to think about this. One, algebraically. That one I think people will have generally an easier time on. What numbers can I put in here to make this a true statement? And number two, distance. Can you apply the things that I just said in terms of distance to this problem, this absolute value of x minus 2 equals 8? Okay? I will see you in class today.